second. So this is video number 3 for tonight. Doesn't mean I'm gonna put this one out tonight, but reading some of the comments. Actually, tonight's been a little hectic. Had my machine, one of the files was corrupted. Parts of a program moved to a different part on their own. Had a tool break on me because of it. Had to do a lot of adjustments, and right now it looks like everything's running smooth. That's not my machine you hear. That's the guy next to me. But I saw in one of the comments something that caught my eye, and I said, you know what? Let me talk about that. Let me give my opinion on that. And it was by Jaime. Jaime told a good story in his comment about his grandfather setting up their family in the machining industry. They gotta be making a lot of money. But a thing that Jaime said, and this is no knock on Jaime, but he said he was proud to work for a Hispanic-owned company, right? And I replied to his comments, thanked him for his post, and just gave my kind of pet peeve. There's 2 words that I really can't stand, and it's Hispanic and Latino. And you know, you guys out here wouldn't know, but even the word Chicano, I will never identify myself as that either. Only because, you know, I never talk about the things that go on in prison, but I will say that in 1995 or 1996, it went out to the yards that anybody identifying themselves as a Chicano, let everybody know that's a no-no. And if they continue, go ahead and blast them, because we're Mexicano, and the word Chicano is creating division amongst Mexicanos, meaning paisas and the ones born over here. We're the same. So those are three words that I don't use. I don't identify myself as. I had said in the comment to Jaime that the old definition of the word Hispanic used to be of or belonging to Spain. And if you know our history, you know that would be a terrible thing. That would be like referring to Jews as Nazis, in a sense. And you'd have to know our history to know that. The word Latino, that's basically anyone whose language comes derived from Latin. So a French person could be a Latino, an Italian, somebody from Portugal. You know, it's like, you're not those things. Unless you're that, why would you lump yourself with them? And a lot of people don't know that the word Hispanic was pushed by political activists to, that's why it's the most accepted word, Hispanic, because it was pushed by political activists to lump a large group of people together, make it easier for them. But you know, there's a guy you can see. I mean, I used to get literature of him. A lot of us used to get literature of his in prison. And there's videos of his on YouTube. I've only watched a couple since I've been out. calls himself Olin Tezcatlipoca, and he is the head of the Mexica movement. I don't know if he even still does that, but you could get his literature. You don't have to agree with everything, but there's stuff in there that would open your eyes. And knowledge is always power. There's so many people, if you ask them what a Mexican is, and I'm talking about Mexicans. When you ask a Mexican, what is a Mexican? Where did Mexicans come from? The sad thing is, they're gonna tell you it was when the blood of the Spaniards and our indigenous ancestors mixed, that was what created a Mexican. And it's sad that people say that and people believe that, and I'm talking huge numbers believe that. That is not what created a Mexican. The word Mexican came from the Mexica, and the Mexica were so the word Aztecs is very similar to the word Hispanics. Aztecs was a group of tribes, and they all spoke the same language, same tongue, same dialect, whatever you want to call it, Nahuatl. And supposedly came from Aztlan and migrated. And so within the Aztecs, the most powerful of them were the Mexica. And the word Mexica translates into Mexican. The word Mexicatl translates into Mexican. So Mexicans were around before the Spaniards. And like I don't have the time to go into all of the history, and there's no way. And like when I was in the joint, people used to know that I did a lot of studying, and I had a lot of books, and people would ask me, "Hey homie, can I read one of your books?" And I would always start them with the most scientific, the most boring and hard to read book. Because if he read it, then I knew he was serious about learning. And so there's no way that I would sit here and tell you and give you the shortcuts. It's not me. If you want to know your history, read about it. And read a bunch of sources. And I used to talk to this time, how can you believe that? Everybody has an angle. True story. Every book written has an angle. But what you do is you read a bunch of books, and when you see a pattern emerge, that must be true. Doesn't mean it is, but you just keep reading. You look at the sources, what sources, Anyways, a lot of people don't know when the Mexica were traveling. They were the last ones to enter Mexico, Valley of Mexico. They were looking for their land, and their god, Huitzilopochtli, had told them, when you see this sign, you're in your land. And the sign was an eagle sitting on top of a nopal, eating a tuna. And when they saw that sign, that would be their land. And so they traveled and they traveled until they saw that sign, and they found it on land that was infested with snakes, swampland in the middle of Lake Texcoco, land that nobody wanted. But I'm telling you this because look at the Mexican flag. Right now, the current Mexican flag, what is it? It's the symbol that the Aztecs were told, the Mexica, the Mexicans. Their symbol of their land that would be theirs. But what the Spaniards did is see the tuna is the heart of the cactus. And that symbolized to the Mexica, the original Mexican, human sacrifice to the gods. And the Spaniards didn't want that. But they knew the history. And anyways, so it was changed later. It was changed from a tuna to a snake, basically devouring evil. You know, so it's just a story, a little bit of history that was bastardized and changed to I don't know, I don't want to go into all that, but I will tell you this. No, I'm not even going to go into all that. Okay, I can talk about that shit, but like I said, if you want to learn it. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it. Can't cheat. But, you know, I wish that there were schools that would teach that stuff, man. I think that it would be important. It's important for us to teach these stories to our kids and empower them and let them know, you know, the portrayal of Mexicans in this country as being gardeners and landscapers and janitors and doing, you know, working the fields and construction and more than that. We are the descendants of one of the greatest civilizations that the planet has ever seen. Our ancestors were the first ones to have mandatory schools for men and women. There's so much stuff that our ancestors did and our kids don't know. And I think that's why it's easy for them to get culturally confused, using words like the N-word. You know, I already made videos about that. I took them down, you know, and I'm rambling again, but just food for thought, man. Learn your history, man. You know, not just Mexicanos. There's everybody from the Americas. Learn your history, man. You're down there in Peru. Great history. Chile, great history. Everywhere in the Americas, the indigenous blood that you have is great. Don't get confused. Don't worry about trying to assimilate so much that you forget where you came from, or you never even try to find out where you came from. With that, I'm out.